A young man grappling with the harsh echoes of his past while teetering on the edge of existence. Desperate to survive despite the lingering scars left by his orphanage's hurtful criticisms, Atsushi finds himself pushed to a drastic decision to steal from the next person he encounters. Fate, it seems, intervenes swiftly as he stumbles upon a curious sight, a man drifting along the river's current, none other than Osamu Dazai. Rather than succumbing to a comical end, Atsushi leaps into action and saves Dazai. Struck by the boy's evident hunger, Dazai graciously invites him to a meal covered by his partner, Doppo Kunikida. Amidst their conversation, the topic drifts to their professions, both belonging to the enigmatic armed detective agency, a group of sleuths endowed with extraordinary abilities tackling cases too perilous for conventional law enforcement. They discuss their unique careers. Kunikida's inquiry about a white tiger haunting the town triggers a palpable fear in Atsushi, who nervously confesses that the beast has been shadowing him, instilling a sense of impending danger. Intrigued, Dazai takes Atsushi to a warehouse, intending to lure out this spectral tiger. As they wait, Dazai maintains an unruffled demeanor, while Atsushi grows increasingly convinced that the tiger is lurking among the warehouse shelves. To Atsushi's astonishment, Dazai calmly reveals a shocking revelation. The white tiger Atsushi fears is none other than himself. Over the past weeks, Atsushi has inadvertently transformed into this fearsome creature under the moon's full gaze, akin to the legendary werewolf. As Atsushi unconsciously shifts into his tiger form, Dazai, wielding his own extraordinary power, intervenes to prevent any harm. Awakening from his transformed state, Atsushi finds himself surrounded by the members of the agency, and Dazai unveils his true nature as the tiger, ultimately recruiting him into their fold, despite Atsushi's bewildered confusion. Now after that, we find Atsushi waking up in the living quarters of the armed detective agency. His day takes an unexpected turn when Dazai urgently contacts him about a critical situation. Rushing to the scene, Atsushi encounters Dazai in a precarious position, stuck in a barrel and attempting self-harm. Acting swiftly, Atsushi intervenes to rescue Dazai, showcasing his empathy and quick thinking in a challenging moment. Feeling uncertain about his future with the agency, Atsushi considers seeking employment elsewhere. Surprisingly, Dazai offers his aid in finding an alternative job for Atsushi. However, their plans shift when they encounter Kunikida, who rushes them to a real emergency unfolding in the city. A tense situation arises as a man holds a hostage and threatens to detonate a bomb inside a building. Using an unconventional method of rock, paper, scissors, Dazai and Kunikida decide who will divert the criminal's attention. Kunikida loses and finds himself in an awkward position, unable to negotiate. Taking matters into his own hands, Atsushi cleverly disguises himself as a newspaper boy, successfully distracting the man from the bomb. This diversion allows Dazai to restrain the assailant. Despite their efforts, the situation intensifies as the man triggers the bomb's countdown. In a selfless act, Atsushi throws himself over the bomb to shield others. Fortunately, the bomb doesn't explode. It becomes evident that the whole event was a test to evaluate Atsushi's character for membership in the armed detective agency. The agency's president delegates the decision to Dazai, who acknowledges Atsushi's bravery and willingness to protect others. Recognizing these admirable qualities, Dazai approves Atsushi's membership, welcoming him into the agency as a valued and deserving member.
After that, Tanizaki extends a heartfelt apology to Atsushi for his previous unkind behavior during the entrance exam. As a member of the esteemed armed detective agency, Tanizaki introduces himself and his sister Naomi, warmly welcoming Atsushi into their fold. With his official induction into the organization, Kunikida charges Atsushi with the responsibility of upholding the agency's honorable reputation. A playful moment ensues as Atsushi attempts to guess the former professions of his senior colleagues, engaging in a lighthearted exchange. However, the atmosphere quickly changes when Tanizaki receives a crucial call from a client seeking the agency's assistance. Their new female client requests aid in surveilling her company's back alley, suspecting a group of possible smugglers lurking in the vicinity. Kunikida assigns Atsushi to partake in the stakeout alongside Tanizaki and Naomi. He offers a cautionary warning to Atsushi about Akutagawa, a formidable member of the notorious underground organization Port Mafia, advising him to flee if confronted by this menacing figure. Meanwhile, at a police station, Akutagawa, although returning a lost bag, effortlessly overpowers officers who recognize him as a wanted fugitive. Subsequently, as he leaves the scene, the bag he previously left behind explodes. As Atsushi, Tanizaki, Naomi, and their client, Higuchi, arrive at the designated area, they encounter a tense situation. What was supposed to be a surveillance mission takes a dangerous turn when Higuchi, a member of the port mafia opens fire, prompting a swift and violent altercation. In a moment of fury, Tanizaki unleashes his ability, Light Snow, aiming to eliminate Higuchi, but Akutagawa intervenes by fatally attacking Tanizaki. The situation escalates rapidly as Akutagawa confronts Atsushi, introducing himself and using his ability, Rashomon, to capture the were-tiger. A harrowing turn of events follows as Akutagawa uses Rashomon to sever Atsushi's leg, leading to a desperate attempt by Atsushi to retaliate, eventually triggering his own latent ability, transforming him into a tiger. Just as the situation teeters on the brink of a full-blown confrontation, Dazai arrives, using his ability to neutralize both combatants. He reveals having listened in on their initial encounter, intercepting the conflict in time. Akutagawa, retreating for now, vows to capture the were-tiger for the hefty bounty, while Higuchi, in a moment of threat, is surprised when Dazai unveils his own knowledge about the port mafia, hinting at his own past involvement. Now Atsushi wakes up after his intense encounter with Akutagawa. Kunikita, trying to maintain composure, advises Atsushi not to panic despite the dangerous bounty now on his head. Observing Kunikita's attempt to conceal his anxiety, Atsushi suspects that the agency might be in peril because of his presence. Kunikita warns him of the looming threat from the mafia and encourages Atsushi to ponder his options. Elsewhere, in a clandestine operation, Ryuro Hirotsu from the port mafia's Black Lizard leads an infiltration mission at a workers' base suspected of illicitly trading port mafia cargo on the black market. Discovering incriminating evidence, Hirotsu orders the execution of the workers before the base is ruthlessly bombed. Atsushi, learning of the Black Lizard's danger from the crowd gathered at the scene, senses an imminent threat. Fearing for the safety of his newfound companions, Atsushi decides to leave the agency. He contacts Higuchi, offering himself as bait to protect his comrades from harm. Bid a perplexed farewell by Kunikita, Atsushi sets this plan in motion, unaware that his actions trigger a chain of events leading to a sudden assault by the Black Lizard on the agency. Meanwhile, Akutagawa visits a young girl in confinement, demonstrating his formidable power, Rashomon. Despite attacking her, he's surprised by her unwavering determination, ultimately sparing her life. As Black Lizard launches a frontal assault on the agency, Atsushi, wandering outside, hears the commotion and rushes back. To his surprise, he finds his comrades, Kunikita, Kenji, and Yosano, easily overpowering the attackers. Struck by the contrast between the violent display from the agency and his expectations, Atsushi is reprimanded by Kunikita for abandoning his post, despite being part of the agency now. Overwhelmed by conflicting emotions, Atsushi chuckles and hides his tears, seemingly a mix of joy and relief from Kunikita and others. The armed detective agency grapples with the aftermath of Black Lizard's recent assault on their headquarters. Amidst the cleanup, Kunikita assigns Atsushi the task of partnering with the enigmatic Rampo to delve into a murder case. Despite the agency members' admiration for Rampo's detective prowess, Atsushi harbors initial doubts about the great detective, noting Rampo's apparent lack of knowledge in everyday tasks. The duo arrives at the crime scene, greeted by Officer Minora, who promptly informs them that their assistance is no longer required. The victim, Yamagiwa, one of Minora's subordinates, was discovered floating in the river that morning, presenting a baffling mystery with no leads. Just as the police pull another person from the river, none other than the agency's own Dazai, drifting aimlessly. Minora asserts the superiority of his team, deeming Rampo's involvement unnecessary. To challenge this assertion, Rampo tests a fellow officer, Sugimoto, asking him to solve the case in 60 seconds, a task that eludes Sugimoto's abilities. Subsequently, Minora challenges Rampo to prove his worth rather than undermining the police's capabilities. Employing his keen intellect, Rampo activates his super deduction ability, stunning everyone by accusing Sugimoto as the culprit. Requesting Sugimoto's gun as evidence, Rampo unveils the lack of bullets, effectively identifying the crime scene's location. A tense moment unfolds as Sugimoto, silent and later wielding his gun toward Rampo, is restrained by Atsushi. The interrogation reveals Sugimoto as a spy for a Diet member embroiled in corruption. Confronted by Yamagiwa with evidence, Sugimoto's threats led to an accidental fatal gunshot. Seeking aid from the Diet member, Sugimoto orchestrated the scene to implicate the mafia in the crime. With the case resolved, Minora extends gratitude to Rampo and expresses regret for his earlier dismissal. On their journey back to the agency, Dazai enlightens Atsushi about Rampo's exceptional intellect, clarifying that Rampo doesn't possess any supernatural ability. Instead, Rampo relies on his extraordinary intelligence and deduction skills, garnering immense respect within the agency for his detective prowess. The chaos ensues as Dazai once again attempts a peculiar form of suicide by consuming a poisonous mushroom. Amid Atsushi's frantic efforts to counteract its effects, Kunikita diligently completes paperwork, despite Dazai's persistent pestering. However, their routine is abruptly disrupted when the agency's president tasks Kunikita with investigating the mysterious disappearances plaguing Yokohama's visitors. The trio, accompanied by Rokuzo Taguchi, a cyber hacker under Kunikita's employment, seeks information regarding an anonymous tip linked to the case. Rokuzo discloses that the tip originated from the enigmatic Azure Messenger. Upon Kunikita's call, a cab arrives to transport them to an abandoned hospital mentioned in the tip. Meeting the cabbie, an informant for the agency, Atsushi is introduced to their peculiar ally. As they explore the desolate hospital, they are alerted by a woman's distressing cries. Rushing to her aid, they discover Nobuko Sasaki trapped in a glass tank on the brink of drowning. Kunikita takes action, firing at the glass and successfully rescuing her. Sasaki reveals that other captives remain in the hospital, prompting the group to locate them. Tragically, a fatal gas is released, claiming the lives of the remaining captives despite their efforts to save them. News of the agency's inability to rescue the victims spreads, casting a shadow over their efforts. Visiting Sasaki recuperating in the infirmary, she expresses gratitude for their rescue attempt. Subsequently, Kunikita uncovers a startling revelation, identifying the possible culprit behind the abductions. Calling upon the cabbie, Kunikita accuses him of being the kidnapper linked to the disappearances, unraveling his motives and association with organ traffickers. Seeking protection in exchange for surrendering himself over a Port Mafia abduction, the situation takes a dire turn as the Mafia launches an attack on their cab. Amidst the chaos, Dazai pursues the fleeing cabbie, while Atsushi tries to summon backup. Kunikita faces off against Akutagawa, only for their confrontation to be halted by the timely arrival of the police. The cabbie is apprehended by the authorities, leading the group to head to the supposed meeting place with the traffickers. The building turns out to be the former hideout of the Azure King, a figure from the past known for a devastating explosion that claimed several detectives' lives, including Rokuzo's father. Kunikita grapples with the guilt of his involvement in the tragic incident. In a shocking turn of events, they receive a bomb disarmament request from a client, revealed to be the enigmatic Azure Messenger, raising the stakes and leaving the team facing an ominous challenge, poised on the brink of an unresolved, tension-filled juncture. The agency confronts a dire situation, a looming threat posed by the Azure Messenger's bomb, capable of devastating Yokohama. The enigmatic client challenges the agency to disarm the bomb before sundown, pledging dire consequences if they fail, risking the agency's reputation and the safety of the city. Fukuzawa, the agency's leader, issues a critical mission to save Yokohama, identify the Azure Messenger, and safeguard their honor. Kunikita collaborates with Rokuzo, seeking to trace the bomb-building equipment, while Dazai spends time with Sasaki. However, Kunikita and Atsushi interrupt to update Dazai on their investigations. Seeking insights, Dazai seeks Nobuko's opinion on the Azure Messenger's identity, leading to the suspicion that the figure might be linked to the notorious Azure King. As the agency scrambles, receiving information from Ranpo about the bomb's location in a fishing tackle store in Negishi, the team mobilizes. Kunikita and Atsushi are contacted by Rokuzo and Ranpo, divulging the bomb's presence at a former Defense Force facility. Meanwhile, Fukuzawa delivers distressing news to Dazai about the cabbie's demise. Racing against time, the team converges on the defense facility, only to face a sudden ambush. Amidst the chaos, Kunikita confronts assailants while facing an ability user. Struggling against the opponent, Kunikita's efforts are hindered when the key to the transmitter is destroyed. Simultaneously, Dazai and Atsushi encounter a formidable adversary. With physical combat proving futile and Kunikita trapped, a daring plan is set in motion. Dazai and Kunikita swap places using a wire gun. Dazai neutralizes the user's ability, enabling Kunikita to vanquish the opponent. Employing his ability Dopo Poet, Kunikita recreates the release key and successfully disarms the bomb, averting catastrophe. However, the victory is overshadowed by personal revelations. Sasaki, encountered by Kunikita at the cemetery, discloses her tragic truth, admitting her significant other's demise. Dazai, contacting Kunikita at an abandoned hospital, unveils a shocking plan to draw out the mastermind behind the incident. Rokuzo arrives not as the perpetrator, but as an eager hacker. anger. The unexpected turn takes a grievous toll as Rokuzo sacrifices himself, shielding Kunikita from Sasaki's gunshot. As Sasaki, the true Azure Messenger, unveils her motives, a moment of vengeance unfolds. Dazai relinquishes his gun to Rokuzo, leading to Sasaki's demise at Rokuzo's hands before succumbing to his own fate. Now the Dazai is approached by a young girl unexpectedly, who is manifesting her unique ability amidst the bustling streets. The following day, Atsushi raises concerns about Dazai's absence to the agency, but his absence is brushed off as a customary excursion, leaving his whereabouts unaccounted for. Later, Yosano, a colleague of the agency, arrives and engages Atsushi, prompting his colleagues to leave the two alone. She recruits Atsushi to accompany her on a seemingly innocuous shopping trip, laden with a pile of her purchases. Amidst the journey, Atsushi crosses paths with a girl in a kimono, sharing a fleeting glance that hints at a deeper connection. As the duo travels by train, Yosano cautions Atsushi about the dangers lurking at night, particularly the looming threat of surprise mafia assaults. Unexpectedly, the train conductor announces an experiment, leading to a shocking bombing incident that shatters the peaceful journey. In the aftermath, the conductor demands Atsushi's surrender, propelling him and Yosano into action to uncover the culprit and defuse the situation. Splitting up, Yosano encounters Motojiro Kaji, an individual affiliated with the Port Mafia, while Atsushi confronts the girl from earlier, identified as Kyoka Izumi, who wields a dangerous ability named Demon Snow and confesses to a chilling history of taking 35 lives within 6 months. Yosano finds herself repeatedly targeted in the bombing onslaught, teetering on the brink of demise. Simultaneously, Atsushi grapples with the overwhelming power of Kyoka's ability, contemplating the imminent danger faced by the passengers. Despite the formidable odds, Atsushi stands resolved to protect the innocent, displaying unwavering determination against his formidable adversary. The escalating chaos sees Yosano fighting back against Kai's attacks, utilizing her ability, Thou Shalt Not Die, to heal herself amid near-death experiences. Meanwhile, Atsushi taps into a fraction of his own ability, Beast Beneath the Moonlight, enabling him to defend against Demon Snow's onslaught. A tense confrontation between Atsushi and Kyoka ensues, revealing the bomb concealed within her kimono. In a desperate attempt to avert disaster, Atsushi discovers a remote detonator and attempts to deactivate the bomb, only to realize its unstoppable ticking. The shocking revelation by a voice on Kyoka's phone plunges them into a critical situation. Kyoka faces a chilling ultimatum to showcase the Port Mafia's formidable power by sacrificing herself. In a race against time, Kyoka makes a harrowing decision, hurling herself from the train. In a moment of breathtaking heroism, Atsushi activates his ability, seizing the bomb and rescuing Kyoka from the brink of catastrophe. At the agency's infirmary, Kunikita and Atsushi engage in a probing conversation with Kyoka, the former Port Mafia member. As they question her, she makes an unusual request for boiled tofu from Tachibana Temple, a seemingly trivial desire amidst the intense interrogation. Kyoka's voracious consumption of tofu leads to a heartfelt conversation, unveiling her recruitment by the Port Mafia due to her unique ability. Manipulated through her phone by the menacing Akutagawa, Kunikita, torn between duty and empathy, departs to report at the agency, leaving Atsushi to hand Kyoka over to the police. Despite his orders, Atsushi grapples with conflicting emotions, reluctant to surrender Kyoka without giving her a chance for redemption. Meanwhile, Dazai, the enigmatic former Port Mafia member now allied with the agency, faces a confrontational encounter with his former apprentice, Akutagawa. Amidst taunts and jibes, Dazai belittles Akutagawa's abilities, asserting the superiority of his new protege, provoking Akutagawa's fury. In a surprising turn of events, Atsushi embarks on an unintended journey with Kyoka, hesitating to fulfill his duty. The day transforms into an impromptu date around Yokohama, leading to a pivotal moment where Akutagawa's ruthless interference disrupts their fragile respite. Ambushed by Akutagawa and the Port Mafia, Atsushi falls victim to Rashomon's blade, leading to his capture while Kyoka is taken back to their base. Amidst the chaos, the agency, preoccupied with a ministry staff escort request, grapples with conflicting priorities. Tanizaki's report on Atsushi's abduction clashes with Kunikita and Ranpo's reasoning to prioritize their ongoing task. Tensions escalate until Fukuzawa intervenes, ordering the immediate retrieval of their captured member, cementing the importance of Atsushi's safety above all else. Simultaneously, Dazai, detained by the Port Mafia, encounters his former partner, Chuya Nakahara, Their volatile reunion escalates with Chuya demanding answers for Dazai's seemingly passive surrender, setting the stage for a brewing conflict. The agency mobilizes to locate Atsushi, with Rampo's perceptive deduction leading them to the realization of Atsushi's whereabouts on a vessel bound for the open sea. With the president's directive, Kunikita receives orders to retrieve Atsushi, igniting a race against time on the agency's high-speed vessel. The episode unfolds with a fierce battle between Dazai and Chuya, former partners now at odds. Chuya gains the upper hand effortlessly, questioning Dazai's reasons for allowing himself to be captured. In a surprising revelation, Dazai discloses his actions were to protect Atsushi, and he has planted a letter with potentially damaging information about the mafia, deterring his own demise. Meanwhile, on a vessel, Atsushi finds himself confronted by the enigmatic Akutagawa and Kyoka, the former port mafia assassin. As Akutagawa's hostility grows, Atsushi becomes curious about the source of the mafioso's deep-seated hatred. Kyoka, attempting to intervene, faces Akutagawa's disdainful dismissal, urging her to continue with her lethal ability, Demon Snow. Kunikita manages to locate Atsushi, leading to a critical moment where he advises Atsushi to escape and abandon Kyoka. Despite the agency's philosophy of prioritizing their own, Atsushi, fueled by the belief in second chances, refuses to leave Kyoka behind. Determined to offer her a chance at redemption, Atsushi rushes to save her from impending danger, showcasing a compassionate resolve amidst the chaos. The narrative shifts to an intense showdown between Atsushi and Akutagawa, each unleashing their abilities in a relentless clash. Atsushi discovers a weakness in Akutagawa's formidable Rashomon, engaging in a high-stakes battle of strategy and resilience. Akutagawa's intense training with Dazai echoes in his animosity towards Atsushi, fueling their clash of ideals and abilities. Despite Akutagawa's relentless assaults, Atsushi's regenerative powers keep him in the fight. In a gripping turn of events, Atsushi breaks through Akutagawa's defenses, submerging the mafioso into the waters below. Kyoka reawakens, rescuing Atsushi as the vessel explodes, culminating in a tense, thrilling sequence. Simultaneously, Dazai, utilizing his resourcefulness, hacks into the mafia's communications records, unveiling the identity behind the bounty placed on Atsushi. Meanwhile, Francis F., leader of the guild, perceives the failure of the mafia's approach, maintaining confidence in his organization's pursuit of the elusive Promised Land. The tale unfurls with Atsushi's concern over Kyoka's fate, given her turbulent past. However, his apprehension fades as he discovers the agency's surprising fondness for the girl. As the president personally invites Kyoka to join the agency, she expresses her desire to stay, despite the potential dangers lurking from the port mafia's relentless pursuit. Though Kunikita and Atsushi initially worry about the risks involved, the agency's leader, Fukuzawa, decides to provide refuge to Kyoka, accepting her into their ranks. Meanwhile, the aftermath of the intense battle leaves Akutagawa comatose, drawing uncertainty within the port mafia. Higuchi, grappling with her allegiance to the mafia, faces internal conflicts as her boss questions her competence, particularly with Akutagawa incapacitated. The dilemma deepens when Akutagawa is abducted by foreign mercenaries, compelling Higuchi to embark on a daring solo mission to retrieve him. However, outnumbered and overwhelmed, she finds herself in a dire situation until the Black Lizard arrives, turning the tide of the confrontation and rescuing Akutagawa. Despite her critical role, Higuchi maintains a stoic demeanor, attributing her actions to merely fulfilling her duty. Later, Atsushi and Kenji collaborate on a peculiar case involving a mysterious car explosion. Gathering intelligence in Yokohama Bashi shopping district, Kenji's reputation proves instrumental in their investigation. Following leads, they confront the Gojo Youth Association, suspecting their involvement in the explosion. However, the gang vehemently denies any connection to the incident, convincing Kenji of their innocence. Despite Atsushi's attempts to persuade Kenji otherwise, the latter trusts the gang's seemingly honest statements. However, their encounter takes a treacherous turn as the gang ambushes them, admitting their culpability in constructing the bomb for a sinister purpose. Undeterred by the attack, Kenji showcases his incredible strength and taps into his ability, undefeated by the rain, to overpower the entire gang single-handedly. After a satisfying meal together, Kenji retires for the night, leaving an indelible mark of his unwavering resolve and prowess. The plot thickens as Dazai tasks Atsushi with compiling a report regarding the mysterious benefactor behind the bounty on his head. The Port Mafia's records unveil that the Guild, a group of extraordinary individuals from North America, is the financier. Intrigue builds when the Guild's leader, Francis Fitzgerald and his cohorts visit the agency seeking to acquire their business permit. Fukuzawa staunchly declines, prompting Fitzgerald to issue a foreboding warning before departing. The following morning, the agency is rattled by the sudden vanishing of a 7-story mafia-owned building, seemingly the guild's ominous response. Concern mounts as Kenji, who escorted the visitors, disappears along with Naomi. As Tanizaki, Atsushi, and Naomi's sister attempt to trace Kenji, a bizarre turn of events unfolds. They encounter Lucy M., an apprentice from the guild, whose ability transports them to a mystical realm known as Anne's Room. Inside Anne's room, Lucy explains their predicament. A gigantic doll-like creature named Anne challenges them to a high-stakes game. The rules stipulate that hostages can only be freed if someone can manipulate the situation to open a black door. As Tanizaki is ensnared, Atsushi valiantly attempts to outmaneuver Anne, but her formidable strength seems insurmountable. Desperate for a solution, Atsushi grapples with the seemingly unsolvable puzzle until a mysterious doctor intervenes, offering strategic advice rooted in game theory. Encouraged by the doctor's counsel, Atsushi devises a daring plan, utilizing cunning tactics to outsmart Anne and secure freedom for his friends. A cunning ruse unfolds as Tanizaki and Atsushi collaborate to deceive Lucy, creating an illusion that disrupts her abilities. Atsushi bravely confronts Lucy, demanding the deactivation of her powers, ultimately prevailing and releasing everyone from the mystic dimension. However, the unexpected turn of events takes a darker turn when the enigmatic doctor reveals his true identity as Ogai Mori, the formidable boss of the Port Mafia. Mori's chilling declaration of power and intent to crush any opposition resonates deeply, setting an ominous tone for looming conflicts between the Guild, the Agency, and the Port Mafia.